to examine this language. It's going to be in a warm car. I really want to examine in myself and in society, because this is absolutely something that I have done and have done recently, and that is telling somebody that, oh, you're good at that. You're good at that. And using that as a way to encourage them to keep doing it. Saying, oh, you're so good at that, you should do that because you're good at it. And I feel like this is very nuanced, and I don't want to make any broad, generalized statements, because I know that there have been times when I used those words coming from the place of my understanding, my perception of what was good. Because first of all, that's inherently subjective. Really, even with these whatever scientific metrics of good, like if someone has a high RBI playing baseball, they consistently hit the ball every time they're at bat and they get on base, and then using that as a metric to say they're good at something, at baseball in this example, even that is not really objective. There are plenty of baseball players, Major League Baseball players, who have lower or higher RBIs, but they do other things. They do other things. Maybe they're a fantastic first baseman or an outfielder. They catch the ball consistently. And so you could say they're good at that, but what makes them a good player overall? It's not any one of these things. And really, then you can get into saying, well, no, what really makes someone good at baseball is their understanding of the game, right? Is their ability to kind of see what's going to happen, what might happen before, what sort of play the other team is going to go for, where they're going to try to hit the ball, who they're going to try to send if they're stealing a base. You know, it's your awareness in the game. And that's what makes a good player. And so there is no single metric in anything, even something with measurable performance that we can turn into a statistic like sports. Even something like that, there is no one measure of good at-ness. We're going to put it that way. It's still subjective. It's still inherently subjective. So what does it even mean to say that somebody is good at something? To say that you are good at something? What does that mean? I think really what it boils down to actually is the person witnessing that thing saying, hey, I like that. I like the way that you did this thing. This is pleasing to me. Therefore, I encourage you to keep doing it. And it doesn't have to be, I'm not saying that that's an ill intention. That is the way society has been built to function in this capitalistic world focused on production and service and doing things that other people find pleasing, and that's really what gets us accepted in society. That's really what we promote. We promote pleasing each other. We promote pleasing each other. And I'm not going to say it's a bad thing for other people to be pleased with what you're doing. That's not it. But is that a reason for doing it? No. That, as much as it doesn't need to be a reason not to do that thing. So if what you're doing is pleasing to people, that doesn't mean don't do it, but it doesn't mean do it. That's not a reason to do it either. That is setting us up for failure, for instability, for shallow, fragile, ego-based satisfaction, and ultimately deriving us of our own power to please ourselves, when that is what I believe we would benefit from being encouraged to do. All of us, internally and externally. And that's why I do feel like, not that this language needs to be eliminated, but just clarified, perhaps, because I know in myself I've used it both ways. I have used it in the way that meant this was pleasing to me, and it might be pleasing to other people, and for that reason I will encourage you to keep doing this. You should keep doing this because it's a pleasing thing in the eyes of others, and that will get you accepted. I have meant that. I have meant that when I said you're good at this and you should do it. But I've also meant, and a lot more recently, in the past year, 2 years, when I say you're good at that, it is not using that same standard. That I'm not coming from that same mental space. I'm coming from the place of, wow, you did a thing that you clearly enjoyed doing. That's what makes you good. And maybe it's just that I don't know what other language to use, that this automatically just sort of comes up as the form of encouragement. How else do I encourage someone? I am programmed into saying, wow, you're so good at that, keep doing that. When really what I mean is, wow, you clearly enjoy that, and your enjoyment of that is enjoyable to me. I appreciate that you had a good time doing this. And yes, that feels good to me. It feels good to me to witness your good time, to witness your satisfaction, to witness your engaging in something that is pleasing to yourself because it is pleasing to you, not because it's pleasing to me. And so yes, I will admit, I will freely share that I enjoyed the witness of this experience, but that's not why I would encourage you to keep doing it. There's no should, first of all. There's no should. You don't need to do this ever again. If this was the one and only time, then I am so grateful that I got to be a witness of it. But what I do want to encourage is for you to do things that are pleasing to you, whatever that means, whatever that looks like, whether or not I am pleased with it. As it happens, I'm pleased with seeing things that please you. That's just what it is. That's what love is. When you're in the perspective of love, that's what it is. I see a thing, I see a person doing a thing that they are satisfied in themselves with, not as a means to an end, not because they're trying to achieve or create something. I see that in this moment, they are deriving enjoyment from the thing that they are doing, simply because they're doing it. And I appreciate that. That good feeling spreads to me, and that's just the truth. That's what it is. But that's not why that person maybe ought to or maybe would like to keep doing it. It's because it feels good to them. I feel like I'm using a lot of the same words over and over and over. That's not really unusual. What I mean to say is, can we find a way to encourage people to do things because they're interested in them, not because they're quote unquote good at them by some arbitrary, subjective, continuously changing, never consistent between two people metric. Can we encourage our children? This is where the whole gifted child burnout has come from. Because we tell a kid, oh, you're so good at that, you're so talented, you should keep doing that. And in the mind of a child that is not functioning at this higher level yet, it's not prepared to process things in a deeper way, it just hears, oh, this contributes to my survival. Because as a kid, your acceptance appears to be equivalent to your survival. That's what it feels like. You have a very small experience and perception of the world. And for you to be rejected from any part of it feels like you're going to be rejected from the world. And now your very physical existence continuing could be at threat. So anything that is called good behavior becomes tied into your ability to survive. And then it fucks us all up as adults. Because we're still functioning from that diminished, limited childhood perspective. And maybe that's just always going to be the case. I don't know. Because I do feel like that's a part of what we come here to do. We come here deliberately to forget ourselves. We come here as infinite, all-knowing, all-being, deliberate creators, and we forget. We forget that that's what we are, and we do it on purpose. We come in and we forget, and then we have the chance to remember again, and that is a pretty amazing experience. So maybe we're never going to get away from that. I don't know, because that's just what it's designed to be. But I do feel like we could be at least a little clearer in our expressions of encouragement towards one another, specifically kids, but one another in general. When we say things like, you should keep doing that, or you're good at that, maybe we clarify what we mean. Because being good at something is not a reason to do that thing. It's just not. And it's going to set you up for instability. If that is your reason for doing anything, that somebody somewhere said you were good at it, and you took that on, and now that's your reason, that's why you keep doing it. Even in the sort of time-delayed version of, oh, you should keep doing that because one day you might be good, right? Well, you're not good now, but you should keep doing it because eventually you'll get good. How about no? How about it doesn't have anything to do with other people's definition of good, or even an internal one? How about it has nothing to do with being good at the damn thing, but you do it because you want to? Because it brings you joy, because it feels good. How many people do we discourage from singing a thoroughly natural expression of self, the most beautiful, just organic, I'm gonna just feel breath moving through my body and the sounds that I can make? How many people do we discourage from doing that because they're not good at it? When that should not be your reason. That's not your reason. That wasn't the reason you opened your mouth in the first place as a kid, to make that sound. You didn't do that with any concept of if other people would like it or not, or how it would sound to them, or if it would be accepted. You did that because that felt good, because in that moment that was the most perfect expression of your being. And then somebody said, don't do that because I don't like it. Fuck that noise. Do what feels good to you because it feels good to you. Whether or not other people think you're good or might one day become good has no bearing, has no relevance to your doing that thing. Stop doing anything because you want it to be good, to be accepted. Do it for the joy of it. Do it because it fills you up in that moment. And maybe you only do it once because that was the moment that called for it. Doesn't matter. Do it because the spirit moved you to do it and it felt so good. And fuck what anybody else says. They'll like it, they'll hate it, they couldn't care less, they'll put you on a pedestal, they'll knock you down. None of that matters if you're not doing it for them. If you're not doing it to achieve something, if you're not doing it to please other people or this internal voice of other people in yourself. If you're not doing it to be good at it or perceived as good, then it doesn't fucking matter if anyone says you are or not, even if this voice says you are or not. Do it because you want to, period. Do it because it feels good. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for me. That's it. Okay, I got a little bit more to say because I'm feeling this. I just want to cap it off. I want to say, do more things that feel good to you because they feel good to you. That's it. We have that choice. We have that power. And really, I mean, like, would you tell somebody on the flip side of this whole thing of like encouraging people because they're good at something? What if that person hates that thing? There are so many people that yes, appear to be just, they're naturally talented, and for whatever reason most other people seem to agree that they are good at this thing. They just know what they're doing. They have a gift. They have a natural talent for it. And because of that, we tell them to do it. How many of those people are not happy doing that thing? They don't have fun. they aren't deriving joy from it. That is not a joyful experience for them. But they're doing it because other people have told them to. And they're living off this very shallow sort of satisfaction. Really, it's a survival instinct to please other people, to bend to the wills of other people. Well, if all of these other people are so happy with my doing this thing, then I guess I'll just do this thing. Because at least I feel safe. At least I know I won't be rejected. At least I know I'll be accepted as long as I'm doing this. How many of us are doing that in our jobs, even in relationships? How many of us are doing that? Keeping up the same old thing because somebody somewhere approved of it and that made us feel safe, and we're just repeating that pattern of, well, I don't feel safe in general. I don't know how to feel safe in myself. I need other people's acceptance and approval of me for me to feel safe. So I'm going to keep doing this thing that in the past, historically, has gotten me that acceptance in order to keep feeling safe. How is that really working out for any of us? Really? Because if you're doing a thing that you don't enjoy, just because other people enjoy it, you're being accepted, yes, but you're not being accepted for your true self. You're not being accepted for who you really are, because who you really are doesn't like doing that thing that you keep doing to please other people. So you're never going to actually feel good. You're never going to actually feel accepted because you're not being accepted for who you really are. So even in that, scraping by, squabbling for a little bit of a sense of safety by other people's approval, they're not approving of the real you. So you still feel unsafe. You still feel unstable. You start to feel like a fraud in a different way. Because this thing that all these people say you're so great at and that they love you for doing, you don't love doing. So if you don't love doing the thing that people love you for doing, what does that mean about you? There's this gap, there's this split between the person that you feel like you're presenting yourself to be, that other people are approving of, and who you really are. And you're never going to feel good. You're never going to feel good in that world, following that formula, doing something because other people like it, because other people say you're good at it, even if they give you tons of money, and that's their way of approving. If you're not doing it because you enjoy it, you're not going to feel satisfied in it. And that's the reason that we're doing it anyway, right? The reason we do anything we do is because of the way we think it will make us feel. We all want to feel good. We all want to feel safe. Oh, squirrel. And we keep extending the locus for that control outside of ourselves. We want to feel good, we want to feel safe. So we do things to get other people to approve of us so we feel safe. We do things for that brief surface level moment of high from an acceptance, from feeling like we're worthy, like we've accomplished something. But it's so brief, and it's never going to reach that deeper level, because what really feels good to you is accepting yourself, is being yourself. That's really what feels good. Being your true, authentic self, accepting what that means, and following what that means. Doing the things that feel good to the real you. And you do them regardless of what other people think, whether they like them or not, whether they approve of them or not. Whatever happens after the fact, you do them regardless. That's what feels good to you. That's how you generate true good feeling, which is what you're always looking for. That's how you establish a sense of real security and safety in your being, which is what you're always looking for. By giving it to yourself, by approving of yourself, by letting go of the need for anybody else to like you, and recognizing any sense of safety and satisfaction that you derived from that, from other people's acceptance, was fleeting and shallow and just this temporary, fragile thing. You have the power to give yourself true security. When you are being yourself and accepting yourself, you feel secure. You feel safe in here. And it doesn't actually matter what happens on the outside. You might be ostracized. You might be exiled, excommunicated. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Because you've accepted you. You realize you don't need the approval of these people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They don't know you. You do. When you give that love, which is universal, unconditional acceptance to yourself, then you've got everything that you were looking for out there. It's always right here. It's always in here. And when you support yourself by encouraging yourself to pursue things that you are interested in, simply because you find them enjoyable, not because of some effect you might create, not because you might be good at them now or one day, but because right now you find pleasure in them, then you are feeding yourself, you are feeding your soul, and you are letting your soul express, and you are feeling good in it. You are connected with yourself. You feel the alignment of energy. You feel it flowing through you. You feel your infiniteness. You feel that you extend into the earth and into the heavens, and that there is nothing that can really touch you in this moment. It doesn't matter what anybody says or does to you, about you. It doesn't matter. You are pleasing yourself, and you are pleased in yourself, and that is your power, and you know nobody can touch that. And you feel invincible. You feel indestructible. You feel your limitlessness. And it feels fucking good. That is the source of your good feeling. Your own power. Tapping into the expansiveness of you and letting it flow through you by simply doing something that you enjoy because you enjoy it. That thing could be as simple as sitting in a car, talking to a phone, standing outside looking at the sky, stretching a certain way, moving your body a certain way, not moving your body at all, lying completely still. Anything. If it sounds like it feels good, if there is something in you that go, ooh, that feels good, not, ooh, other people might like that, or ooh, this might produce a result for me that I then like, or makes me more acceptable to others. Not that reason. Because right now that sounds delicious and I want to do it. So I'm going to. That's your reason for being. That is your reason for doing. That is the only good reason for doing anything. And anything else that happens is fine. Again, if people are pleased with it, okay, fine. If people are not pleased with it, okay, fine. Same result. Genuinely, more and more people are going to be stepping into this headspace, this heart space, this perspective of actual love, which is seeing when a person does something that they enjoy and they do it for themselves. We all benefit. We all feel good from that. We all just naturally feel good. When we see somebody, like seeing a kid, young children are such a great example of this. They're not doing anything they do for anybody else. Young kids, before they've been indoctrinated. A young kid running half naked, squealing through the yard. They're doing that because it feels good, and we can't help but feel giddy in witnessing their good feeling, their pure joy. That's what pure joy is. That's what it does for everybody. Now, plenty of people are not tapped into that frequency. You can be shut down to it, and it can produce other sensations in you, like frustration or anger. You know how many people get mad at kids being kids? You know, control that child. You should discipline that thing. Running around half naked, making a ruckus. Those people are determined not to feel good. That's all that is. If you are so shut down that even the witness of pure joy is upsetting to you, you're shut down to everything. You are shut down to everything you are. And that's a very tough existence. But I believe more and more people are stepping into this place of recognizing, because it starts with yourself, giving yourself permission to feel good, to do things that are purely joyful, purely for you, purely for your joy. Again, not to change anything, not to change anything about yourself, not to become more acceptable in the eyes of others. This is a whole issue I have with the self-care industry. That's a separate topic. Self-care is self-acceptance, and self-acceptance means exactly as I am right now is good. And I'm not trying to change anything. I'm not trying to make myself better. I'm not caring to make myself better because I'm not worse. I'm not broken. I'm not a problem. I don't need fixing. Right now, I am perfect as I am. That's self-care. That's self-love. That is acceptance. Body acceptance means my body, the way it feels and the way that I feel in it right now is A-okay. All of it is A-okay, and none of it needs to change. That's acceptance. Anyway, the more of us that are, I believe, stepping into this perspective, when we learn to give it to ourselves, and we learn our own power over pleasure, and we start pursuing things that please us, the more of us see other people doing that and go, fuck yes, 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 you are doing this, and you're doing it for yourself. You're not doing this for me. You're not doing this for me to feel good. I am so overjoyed in your pursuit, your selfish pursuit of joy, of your own pleasure. That feels fucking amazing to witness. It inspires it further in myself. Yes, this is the positive feedback loop that we're starting. It's just a whole bunch of fuck yes, you do that. You do that for you. You don't do that for anybody fucking else. Whether or not anybody benefits, they can't help but benefit. They can't help it because you're doing it for yourself. Because you chose a purely selfish act, everybody benefits. Because when you do something for yourself, you do something for all self. We are all the same self. And when you do something that is selfless, when you remove yourself from the equation, you are not benefiting any self. You are now acting devoid of self. And from that place, you cannot benefit anyone. Not yourself or any other. It must be selfish. Be fucking selfish. That's what feels so good to see, to witness, to embody, to be, to practice selfishness. Take care of you, which means you do you, boo. Do what feels fucking good to you, not in an effort to affect a change, to become more pleasing or acceptable to anyone else, not to be good at something, not to achieve something. Do it because in this moment it feels good. That is pleasing. You're not doing it when you do something that is not to please anyone, it's pleasing. Anybody who is tapped into this frequency, the frequency that we all are, that we all emanate from, the source frequency, will feel that and will fucking applaud you. And again, it doesn't matter because it's not for them. That's just the way it works. That's just what happens. And you will attract more of those people just automatically because, again, we all want to feel good. We all want to feel good, so once we start doing the things that actually feel good, we gravitate towards other people who are doing those same things for themselves. And it just gets bigger and bigger, more and more momentum. We're adding mass to this, right? It's amazing. It's amazing. The upward spiral is unstoppable. So do the things that feel good to you for no reason other than they feel good in that moment to do. I love you.